Hello and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano, and today Quincy Community Liaison Damian Uttar will be joining us. We'll chat about the upcoming MLK breakfast and some other goals for the new year. First, though, as always, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, it is sunny, but it is cold. 26 degrees right now, and that wind has got a bite to it as well. Temperatures only in the low 30s this afternoon, but the wind will make it feel a lot colder. Clouds will increase this evening. Temperatures dip to the mid-20s, and that sets us up for a pretty unsettled holiday weekend. Tomorrow we've got showers, maybe some snow showers mixed in, with temperatures right around 40 degrees or so. Sunday, chance for some more snow, mostly in the afternoon and in the evening. Sunday's highs in the mid-30s, down to the mid-20s at night. Could accumulate a couple of inches by Sunday night. We're back to a sunny, cold weather for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday on Monday. It'll be breezy and brisk with highs Monday only in the mid-30s. We're looking like single digits by the middle of next week. So enjoy these next couple of days before the big chill really sets in. 26 in Quincy right now. Checking out the news for you today, Norfolk County District Attorney Michael Morrissey of Quincy announced this week that he will not be seeking re-election this year. On Monday, Morrissey released a statement saying that it was time for a new chapter in his life. Morrissey has been Norfolk District Attorney for 15 years, but began his political career in 1976, first as a state representative and then as a state senator. Morrissey thanked members of law enforcement and the DA's office. Former Assistant U.S. Attorney Adam Deach, Juna Perkins, Jim Barraquette, and Craig McClellan have all already announced their candidacies for District Attorney this November. Former Quincy Ward 1 City Councilor Dave McCarthy is the new interim director of Quincy's Emergency Management Department. Mayor Thomas Koch announced this week that he's appointed McCarthy to replace Allie Sleeman, who was fired last month after being arrested for a domestic violence incident in a city vehicle on Narragansett Road on December 12th.
So he's got a great background on logistics and how to deal with things, but he also was the guy on the ground. And when you think about some of the issues we had, Ward 1 is usually the area, whether it's the Post Island area, was the House Neck area, parts of Germantown. That's when we've had a lot of challenges when it comes to coastal flooding and dealing with shelters and taking care of people. So he's been on the ground as a councilor doing that. He knows the city. He's got a good working relationship with department heads. So I think it's a good interim choice until we figure out. As you know, the opening came out pretty abruptly. So Dave's agreed to do it on the interim basis, and we'll see what happens.
McCarthy lost a bid for re-election in November after serving on the City Council since 2018. He previously served on the Quincy School Committee and the Board of Governors at Quincy College. McCarthy recently retired as Director of Security for the General Dynamics Corporation. Now, his office will be located in the new Public Safety Complex, along with the Police Department and Fire Department administration. McCarthy will be paid $111,000, same salary as Sleeman was earning. There is also an Assistant Director of the Emergency Management Department. Speaking of the Public Safety Complex, the Quincy Police Department will begin moving into that new complex on C Street tomorrow. And Chief Mark Kennedy says the gradual move-in will begin tomorrow, with evidence in current cases being moved first. Kennedy says strict guidelines will be followed to ensure that the chain of evidence remains unbroken. Now, the chief says communications will be the next office to move into the new headquarters. That'll likely happen on a Sunday afternoon or evening. He says now during the communications move, a temporary communications center will be located at the Milton Police Department to ensure there's no disruption in calls to the police department. Officers will continue to use the current police station until the move is complete. The Fire Department Administration and Emergency Management Department will also be moving into the new facility gradually over the next couple of months. Mayor Thomas Koch says there are still some outstanding punch list items that need to be completed on the new $175 million building. A public dedication ceremony will be held this spring. The proposed pay raises for the Quincy mayor and city councilors will be on the agenda when the Quincy City Council meets on Tuesday night. Proposals to repeal the mayoral salary increase, repeal the policy that ties city council raises to the consumer price index, and a proposal to lower the mayoral salary from $285,000 to $225,000 in 2028 are all on the agenda. There will be a public comment period prior to the meeting. The new City Council President, Ann Mahoney, says there will be time limits of 3 minutes for each comment.
When we'll have it, if will it be the first meeting, last meeting, will it be the beginning or the end? But we will definitely make an opportunity and for people to be able to come and talk, because there's oftentimes people will come and they think they can participate, but they can't. Now, I did remind everybody on the council, if we do open this up to do that it is not a back and forth conversation. Much like the school committee, we invite people up and you'll have a certain amount of time that you can speak, and we cannot respond back to you. So don't feel offended if nobody's speaking back to you. As I told my fellow councilors, the best thing to do is take down people's names. And if it's something that you feel passionate about, reach back out to that constituent and talk to them.
Now, that salary issue was a major factor in the election of 7 new city councilors in November. City Council will meet Tuesday at 7:30 at City Hall. Meeting is being held next Tuesday because Monday is the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. House Speaker Rahm Mariano of Quincy is recovering after falling on the steps outside of his Quincy home earlier this month. A statement from his office says Mariano fell while carrying some boxes up the stairs, sustaining some minor injuries to his shoulder and the right side of his body, but his doctor has cleared him to resume normal activities. He'll be undergoing physical therapy. Mariano was working remotely, but was back at the State House this past Wednesday and is scheduled to meet with lawmakers at the State House next Tuesday and Thursday to discuss energy affordability legislation. The 79-year-old Mariano first joined the House back in 1991, and he does plan to seek re-election this year. The Norfolk County Sheriff's Office wants people to stop before sending any money using a Bitcoin kiosk. Sheriff Pat McDermott says his office is posting these stop signs at the kiosks, urging people to slow down, think outsmart, and put the phone down if they've been contacted by somebody claiming to be from the sheriff's office and demanding payment for missed jury duty or outstanding warrants. At least 3 people have lost a total of $22,000 combined recently to these scams by sending money through Bitcoin kiosks. McDermott says anyone receiving such a call should just hang up and report it to the police, his office, and your bank. It's our check of news today. Coming up, Quincy Community Liaison Damian Utar will be joining us. That's next. Welcome back. It's been a little while, actually, since we had Damian Utar here on the program, so I thought what better way to kick off the new year than to welcome the Quincy Community Liaison to tell us what's going on and what's coming up. Damian, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Joe,
Thank you.
and thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, pleasure. It's an open invitation, by the way. Just stop on by anytime. Just bang on the door and we'll let you in.
Duly noted.
Okay. There are folks, I always say this all the time, new folks coming to the city that probably don't know the city has you, right, a community liaison. So a good place to start is, what is your job, Damian, for the city?
You know, the shortest way to define my job is within the context of access and ensuring that all our residents have quality access to the services that we provide. Now, there are lots of barriers and challenges in between, most of which is just ensuring that the public is informed about what we have,
right.
And how We're here to serve, but also, what are the various systems and structures and
Yep.
resources in place? So there are many barriers and variables, but essentially that is my role.
Sure. Can you talk a little bit maybe about some of your successes of the past year, and things that you were able to achieve?
Yes,
Yeah.
the biggest success is just people being aware of the role, because as you know, this role came on stream in June of 2023. And so for a city this size, there are lots of people who didn't know and still don't know about the role. But thanks to just old-fashioned sort of boots on the ground,
Yeah.
and just really connecting with people. Also, the first phase of developing a web page.
Oh.
Because a lot of folks, who are more digitally savvy,
Certainly.
that's typically where they will go to try to get information.
Yes.
So folks are discovering me and my role by using that platform.
Okay.
So I've been getting a lot more phone calls, a lot more emails, which is precisely what I want to see.
Sure. Through the city website?
Yes,
Through the
through
city
the city's website, yes.
And you have your own phone number as well?
I do. So I'm getting a lot of folks connecting with me that way. So
Excellent.
that's a huge accomplishment. The other big piece is just building out relationships with all the departments and various agencies throughout the city.
Sure.
That's a huge accomplishment, because folks who utilize those departments or those agencies sometimes have certain unique challenges that's making it difficult for them to really capitalize or having quality access to different spaces within the city.
Yeah.
So then those agencies or departments will connect those individuals to me.
Yep.
So that kind of being available in that manner helps the process.
Well, the title is right in your job description, liaison,
Precisely.
right? So you're
Exactly.
serving as a liaison between the city and the public, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the fact that there is visibility and knowledge, not just with residents, but also the various departments and agencies, has been a huge success. The other, I would consider it a success. It's a bit intangible, but it's also sort of a slow, grinding experience. But that is just building up trust.
Yes.
That I see as a huge accomplishment. It's very important to me that when I operate in a particular space, that folks trust me, because that's really important. That's more than half the battle in terms of helping someone get quality access. Being able, especially in the environment we're in right now, there's really a lack of trust in government.
Yeah.
And so that is really a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. How will you be, that's a good point you brought up actually, how will you be now connecting with the new city councilors? There are, 7 that'll be.
Yes, so I did reach out to all,
Okay.
And I've gotten responses from most. I've met with at least one
Okay.
thus far, and so it's how do I work with them to really achieve what I believe our shared goal is, which is to serve the public and to provide quality service to the public. And so partnering with them and understanding their goals and their strategy around connecting with the public, I'm hoping that we can work in partnership to do that.
Okay. You talked about some barriers, some obstacles, some hurdles. What are some of the key ones that you see?
I think one of the biggest barriers is, people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And I think I remember using that phrase the last time I was here.
Yeah.
And part of my job is to help them navigate that process. How do you get to a point of understanding what you need to know?
Yeah.
And then from there, how do you go about getting the answers? And so I think that's one of the biggest barriers. Secondly, I think, people are just overburdened with just what life has to throw at them. And so just folks not wanting to engage, quite frankly. They go to work, they come home, and
Yep.
that's it. Just leave me alone type thing,
Yep. Yep.
And how do you, again, it goes back to that word trust. Because without trust, there is no conversation, right? So That's one of the biggest barriers as well. Just the third barrier actually is also for folks who do want to engage. It's just information. We do a great job, I think, as a city, putting information out. It's done through your program and other programs at QATV. There are other spaces. There's actually an app that a lot of people don't know about, but there's an app called Discover Quincy that has a whole range of information from where you can dine to different events and tours and so on. And so there are a lot of things going on, but when I meet people a lot of times, they'll say, I don't know. I didn't know this was happening.
I said the same thing to you about the Discover Quincy app this morning. I did not know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but I learned that through just boots on the ground and going out and sort of, connecting.
Yes.
But I also think that just, having a space where the information flow can be consistent. And the other thing is that a lot of people are not really, they don't use apps and they don't use technology. And so just, word of mouth, quite frankly, is how you're going to reach a lot of people.
Yeah.
So my hope in connecting and partnering with the city council and other stakeholders who they're in the community as well is that we could sort of hopefully team up, and kind of connect with the public and just be available, so as to be able to answer questions and present information.
So would you, I'm sure you've already done this, be a guest speaker at, say, a civic association meeting or a garden club meeting or the Kennedy Center,
Absolutely.
Something like that.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Just having that presence to be able to, first of all, it would help with, educating the public of my role.
Right.
That's number one. And number two, answering questions and developing that communication feedback loop.
Yes, yeah. Is language also an issue in the city, Damien? Are you finding that to be a barrier?
Yes,
It
and
is,
I'm
really.
so glad you mentioned that because that's also one of my achievements. So I am currently the person responsible for the language access for the city.
Oh.
And so we've been getting a lot of requests from individuals, from departments, from agencies to translate documents or also to have in-person translators.
Okay.
One of the councillors is having a community event this Sunday at the Thomas Crane Library, and I think it's at 2:00.
Okay.
And there's going to be an interpreter there.
Oh, very good. Okay.
So that's one tangible example of what I mean by partnering with the city council.
Yes.
And so I plan to be present as well.
Okay, very good. So you have a busy weekend ahead of you because
Indeed,
you are
indeed.
also the master of ceremonies at the Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast.
I am.
Yes.
And I'm really excited. I was learning a little bit about the keynote speaker.
Yeah.
And just his role in history, quite frankly.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so it's retired Brigadier General Enoch Woody Woodhouse.
Yes.
Turned 99 years old.
Yes.
Wednesday. There was a big party out at Marina Bay for him.
Yes.
But notably, is he the last remaining
Yes,
of the
he is.
Tuskegee Airmen?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is, really living history.
Yeah.
He'll be living history.
That's why I'm really looking forward to meeting him.
Yeah, I bet.
Just to hear his experience. And what struck me about him, though, and his family, or at least his mom, was at that time in U.S. history,
Yep.
for a mom, a parent, who's African American,
Yes.
and given the African American reality at that time,
World War II era, we're talking.
exactly,
Yeah.
to say, it's your duty to serve your country. I find that to be remarkable.
Probably knowing what obstacles he
Yeah.
and his brother would face, right?
Yeah.
They both joined the military
Yeah.
at the same time. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
only 17 years old.
Yeah, I'm literally getting chills just thinking about
Right.
it.
Yeah.
That to know that as a family, but they still felt patriotic,
Yes.
even given what they were experiencing.
Yes.
Remarkable.
Really, she's part of the story.
Yes.
For
Yes,
sure. Yeah, I'm
absolutely.
sure he'll talk about that.
Yeah, yeah.
As well. But we should, just to give a little background on the speaker, member of the famed 332nd Fighter Group. So these are the first black naval aviators, all black naval aviators, and really broke a lot of the racial stereotypes of the time to say, hey, we can do this just as well, if not better, and they did so in the European theater, really racking up, Congressional Gold Medal, all kinds of different accolades, really changing, I think, the perception,
Yes.
of what those folks could do,
Yes.
and paving the way for future generations. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Including myself.
Including yourself. Yeah, exactly. The breakfast itself is, let's see, Monday morning, the doors open at 8:30. It starts at 9 a.m. It is free, and it's at the Terrell Room. Anybody can attend,
Absolutely.
and you encourage them to do so.
100%.
Why is this important, Damien? Why is it important for the city to recognize Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.?
When you think of who Dr. Martin Luther King was, and as I was reflecting on the breakfast, and I was also reflecting on our times right now, he really personified what it meant to deal with adversity, but to do so in a way with a level of class and decency, and the emphasis on nonviolence.
Yes.
That we could do with some of his lessons today. And so I am proud that our city is choosing to recognize that, and to recognize it in a way by inviting someone like Brigadier Woodhouse.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important for us to pause and think about what Martin Luther King embodied, and really try to take a piece, just a little piece, of what he was trying to accomplish at that time, and how that juxtaposes with where we are today.
Yeah. For younger generations too, right? They might not be aware of the story.
Absolutely.
Or the history that led up to ultimately his violent end, right?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's the price he paid. But
Right.
I choose to focus more on his message, and how do we engender and personify in our own lives. There are always going to be differences of opinion. There are always going to be friction, if you will. But let's just do it in a civil manner and in a non-violent way.
And that was the essence of his preaching.
Absolutely.
He was a reverend, right?
Yes.
That was the essence of his message, was nonviolence.
Yeah, I'm sure he was tempted at times.
We're all human, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
but he was able to overcome that.
Right. He talks about that a lot too. After the breakfast, there's another event actually in the afternoon, right?
Yes,
On
at the-
Hancock Adams Common, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
at the United First Parish Church.
Yes.
At 2 p.m., I
Yep,
believe, from
that's
2
right.
to 3, where individuals are going to be reading passages of what he wrote.
Yes.
And I think that would be a good way to really focus and walk away with something. And I would encourage the public to find something that they could take away and just focus on for that day.
Okay. That's the message.
Indeed.
What else do you want to accomplish in the new year? We didn't talk too much about your goals for the new year.
Well, it's more of what we've been working on.
Okay.
But really kind of pushing out more of a visibility of the role. Building trust. That's a little intangible, but I think it's really important to be able to do that. Since we do live in a digital age, really working with IT, the city's IT department,
Yep.
to assess the digital footprint. So getting an understanding of what are people looking at, what are they researching, and how can I sort of inject my role into that space to be a source for them.
Okay.
Continuing to build out partnerships with the different stakeholders, and really looking at the barriers and working with, in a collaborative way, to really focus on the solutions, developing systems to collect data and track data, because I think that's really important to really understand, are you making inroads? Are you really making progress?
Yes.
If you don't have the data, then it's just conjecture.
Yes.
It's not tangible.
Right.
So that's one of the goals that I have.
Okay, you are. I mean, you are a department of one. So
Exactly. That's why
Yeah.
trust,
Yeah.
partnerships, and really developing relationships is so important
Yes.
in my role.
Folks can reach out, email, phone. Is that the best way?
Absolutely, that is
Okay.
the best way to reach out to me. And you know, if folks, I'm very much open to feedback and suggestions.
Okay.
So absolutely, if there's an issue, you can certainly call for that.
Okay.
But if you have suggestions, because you know people are out and about, they see things, they hear things, and so any feedback is welcome.
Okay, and they can request you to come speak to their group, perhaps?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Quite a number of folks within the past year have done so.
Good.
And I have showed up.
Okay, good.
So it doesn't really matter whether it's during the week or the weekend.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right, anything else we should share with folks right now?
No, just to continue working together to make Quincy one of the best cities to live and work. And I'm here. I'm available, and we're the best.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to catch up with you, Damien, and please come back anytime.
Thank you.
You're
Have
very
a wonderful day.
You too. And stay warm, because the forecast looks kind of chilly for the next several days. Today we've got what you see, sunny, windy, and cold. Temperatures in the only low 30s this afternoon, mid-20s tonight. Then it gets a little messy around here starting tomorrow, probably in the afternoon, some snow showers, low 40s. More snow probably Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. Could be a couple of inches on the ground by Monday morning, with back to sunny, chilly conditions. Monday highs only in the low to mid-30s. Thanks again to Damien Utar for joining us, the Quincy Community Liaison.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you to our crew. Thank you for watching. Speaking of Monday, we're off for the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Join us next Friday. Kelly Eisner from the American Red Cross will be joining us. Meantime, you can check our website anytime, qatv.org. You'll find all of our latest programs there. There's news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and much more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great weekend.